We shall never surrender. He said it when the room smelled of ink and anxiety, when maps lay wounded under pins, when the channel was a narrow throat that could close at any moment. London shook. Europe burned, and yet the voice did not shake. It did not plead. It vowed. We shall never surrender. Not because surrender was impossible, but because surrender would unmake the future. If you listen closely, you can still hear the pencil scratch of that vow. It is not a relic. It's a rule. And if you accept it, honestly, practically, it will change how you walk into every Monday, every hard conversation, every storm waiting behind your front door. Picture the cabinet war rooms. Dim light, a single bulb above a table, a man with a cigar, half ash, half promise, choosing words like sandbags against a flood. June 1940. France is falling. The Luftwaffe is warming its engines. The nation's nerves are frayed to threads. Churchill stands in the house and the room tilts toward him. He does not give them comfort, he gives them a spine. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall never surrender. Hear what he's doing. He isn't describing the danger. Everyone already knows the danger. He's naming the standard. He's saying, here is the line. Even if the map turns black, even if the sky is iron and the phone won't stop with bad news, we do not step back across this line. That's the first principle he smuggled into history and left on your desk. Define the hill you refuse to abandon. Not every hill. 1. The hill that holds your character. Maybe it's your commitment to tell the truth when the cheap lie would get you a quieter night. Maybe it's your promise to your team that when things get ugly, you will be visible, not vanished. Maybe it's that private vow. No drink when you're angry, no email when you're exhausted, no decision when you're drowning in fear. 1 line. Never. Why does this matter now? Because modern storms are quieter, and that makes them more dangerous. They arrive as notifications, deadlines, rumors, a calendar that eats your soul one polite meeting at a time. Surrender doesn't look like a white flag. It looks like postponing what matters until the week after next. It looks like silence when you should speak. It looks like drifting. Churchill's rule breaks the drift. It turns fog into granite. Here is the sentence. In crisis, leadership begins with a vow, not a mood, not an Instagram line. A vow you can point to when your hands shake. When he said, we shall never surrender, he wasn't predicting victory. He was eliminating one option. In your life, eliminate the option that erodes you, not because it guarantees a win, but because it guarantees you. But now, let's turn the page, literally, to a softer light, a quieter room, into the private space where vows are harder because they are honest. Before the roar of 1940, there was the silence of 1915. The Dardanelles, the Gallipoli campaign, a strategy that promised to break the stalemate, and broke him instead. Lives lost, a nation heartbroken, and a man forced out of the Admiralty, walking into political winter with blame like a stone in his coat. He writes to Clementine, his wife. The letters are tender, raw in places a speech would never show. No famous phrases here, just the ache of a leader who failed. He admits regret, he swallows pride. He asks himself the hardest question. What now? Not what should have been. What now? That is the second principle, and it's colder than the first. After a defeat, walk toward the truth, not away. In public, we talk about resilience like it's a bungee cord. You snap back. In private, resilience is a long staircase, climbed in the dark, one measured step at a time. Watch what Churchill does in the shadows. He does not vanish. He does not rewrite the past to protect his ego. He steps down from office, then steps up into the mundane, commanding a battalion on the Western Front. Mud, bullets, rats, no applause. He chose to re-earn the right to speak by being the kind of man who still would when nobody listened. You can hear the modern echo. When your plan fails, don't flinch from the autopsy. Don't outsource the blame. Ask the exacting questions. Which assumption was wishful? Which risk did I ignore because I wanted the shortcut? Who did I forget to protect? And then, here's the steal, take an assignment beneath your pride and do it well. You don't get your credibility back with a speech. You get it back with a season of disciplined, unglamorous work. There's another line in those years you should keep close. Patience is not passivity. It's training for the moment you will be needed again. Churchill read, wrote, learned. He rebuilt the scaffolding inside his mind. That's not romance. That's craft. Because the day will come when someone knocks and says, "We're in trouble. We need a voice that does not tremble." And you will either be ready or you won't. But imagine if the story stopped there, in loss and slow repair. It doesn't. There was also a quieter weapon Churchill carried into the noise. He called his depressions his black dog. The cure was not denial. It was design. He wrote about it in an essay with a humble title, Painting as a Pastime. Not a hobby to pass the hours, but a discipline to rewire the hours. Open that essay and you find the third principle, softer to the ear but brutal in its practicality. Build a refuge that requires your hands, not just your head. He chose painting because color refuses to be solved by worry. You cannot outthink a canvas. You must meet it, brush to board, light on water, a new horizon appearing because you worked it into being. Today that might be woodwork, running, gardening, playing scales on an old piano, something you enter with your whole attention, something that absorbs the static until you can hear again. It's not an escape, it's a refit. In the naval yards of your life, you need dry dock time. Pull the hull from the sea, scrape the barnacles, repair the seams, return to the water with a ship that holds. What he meant then still matters now. If you lead without recovery, you don't lead, you leak. You bleed energy into every room and call it sacrifice. You make bad decisions and call them courage. Recovery is not indulgence. It's maintenance of the instrument you play. So, how do these three threads knot together? The vow, the truth, the refuge. The vow sets your direction in the storm. We shall never surrender. This line is not up for debate. The truth keeps you honest when you fall. Walk toward the facts. Rebuild the foundations. And the refuge keeps you useful. Return with strength, not merely stubbornness. Slow down with me for a moment and picture this like a map. In the upper left, a June of fear. The vow is a red pin driven into the coast, a fixed coordinate in violent weather. In the lower right, a cold November of failure. The truth is a road back to the center of the map, unromantic but sure, paved by humility. And between them, a quiet lake where paint dries. The refuge is the water that reflects your face back to you without distortion. You need all three. Miss one, and the others bend. Vow without truth becomes grandstanding. Truth without refuge becomes despair. Refuge without vow becomes avoidance. And now ask yourself the question a wartime prime minister would ask his staff at 2 a.m., eyes rimmed with smoke and resolve. What precisely is the vow you will make this week? Not a paragraph, a sentence. When the pressure rises, what do you refuse to surrender? Then, what truth will you walk toward from your most recent defeat? What is the sentence you have been avoiding? Say it, write it. Name it like a country on a map that will not move because you finally drew it correctly. Finally, what refuge will you build that trains your hands to rest your head? Not scrolling, not numbing. Something you can point to the way he pointed to a painting, imperfect and alive, and say, "There, I made that. And in making it, I repaired something in me." Here's a final scene to hold on to. It's late. He's hunched at a desk, not in Parliament, but at Chartwell, his home. There is paper, ink, the night pressing softly against the window. The war has not ended yet, but this hour belongs to no one else. He is mixing colors. He is remembering the vow. He is thinking about failures without flinching. He is living the rule he offered a nation. Before we go on, I want to hear from you. In the battles you're fighting right now, what is one line you refuse to cross this year? Your own "we shall never surrender." Tell me in the comments, and if these Churchill letters and lessons serve you, subscribe so we can keep building this kind of resolve together. Back to the war rooms, back to the present. Because you don't just listen to history, you carry it. Imagine your next crisis. Imagine the ring of the phone that brings bad news. Imagine the silence in a meeting when everyone is waiting for someone, not anyone, for you. What will you do? You will start with a vow, not because it solves the problem, but because it clarifies your soul. You will say, we are not surrendering the standard. We are not surrendering the dignity. We are not surrendering the team. And then you will do the ordinary work. You will walk toward the truth. You will own the result. You will dig through the rubble and say, this stays, this goes, this must never happen again. And you will keep your instrument tuned in the days between. You will find your refuge and return from it with eyes that can see. One more thought from that 1940 speech, buried under the thunder of the famous lines. He says the British people will move forward with growing confidence and growing strength. Not sudden, growing. Confidence is not a miracle you wake up to. It's the residue of promises kept. Strength is not a personality trait. It's a practice, and practices can be learned. So learn this one. Write your vow where you will see it. On the back of your phone, on the inside of your notebook, on a slip of paper under your keyboard. When the room gets tight, read it. When your voice shakes, read it. When you're tempted to surrender the standard that makes you you, read it out loud. Then take the next right action. Not the movie moment, the simple one. The email that is honest and kind. The apology that is short, clean, and unqualified. The plan that sacrifices comfort, not integrity. From the beaches to the letters to a paint-splattered board, the message is the same. You are not at the mercy of your mood or the news. You have a standard. You have a spine. You have a way to bend but not break. The world you're living in needs fewer commentators and more commanders of the self. Churchill didn't sell positivity. He built posture. If he were here, cigar, grin, eyes like flint, what would he say to you? He'd say what he said to boys at Harrow, to ministers in crisis, to lonely nights when only the lamp listened. Your life is the theater of a great campaign. There will be losses. There will be days when the weather hates you. Do not dramatize it. Do not shrink from it. Face it. Name it. Choose your vow. Walk toward the truth. Keep a refuge for your soul. And when you have done all these things, and the storm is still loud, do the simplest, bravest act a person can do. Stand your ground. We shall never surrender.